Hey, everybody, it's Maria. Welcome back to this latest edition of Atlanta Up Close. My guest today, one who does not need an introduction, but I am so elated to have her in studio with us to talk about what's been going on since she took office as Fulton County's District Attorney. Fani Willis, how are you doing?
Good morning, Miss Maria. I am so excited to be here with you today. We've been doing a lot since we came into office. You know, we came into office and we really found an office in disarray, and that's just the truth and the way we have to tell it. We saw a backload of cases that were going back probably 6 to 7 years, and we're talking about thousands, tens of thousands of cases, over 14,000 cases unindicted that needed to be looked at, to have charging decisions made. And so I'm really excited as I sit here with you today to tell you that every case that happened between 2012 and 2020 that had come into that office has now either been indicted or dismissed. And so we have worked through that backlog. We also found clerical errors, over 50,000 cases where they had not properly closed the files. And that was making it difficult for our residents sometimes to get housing, to get a job, to do things. And I'm happy to announce that we have gotten rid of that backlog as well and made sure that all of those issues were cleared up. And so after we got through with some of the just nuts and bolts of prosecution work, things that we had to do so the office could work efficiently, we've been able to set up some wonderful programming. Fulton County was one of the jurisdictions that did not have pre-indictment diversion. And so we've been able to set up a pre-indictment diversion program. That way we don't have to prosecute every person who maybe has made a mistake. We're able to turn them onto the right track. But probably the thing that I am most proud of is what is called the REACH program.
Okay.
The REACH program is a program that we are doing in Fulton County schools, and it is targeted at middle and high school students. And it is to make sure that we get those kids that are on the bubble or even looking at the bubble and make sure that they do not go through the wrong path. We want to make sure that they go through all of the correct doors. And so this program is one that lasts all school year long. It costs the students absolutely nothing. It's taught during the school day. And the main thing that I would say it does is it opens mind and exposes them to so many different career tracks and to so many people that look just like them or don't look just like them, but want to see them succeed. And so I'm very, very excited. I have with me here today our Director of Youth Services, Akeem Woodard. He is in charge of the program. He is going to tell you that we excitedly graduated over 100 students in what was our inaugural year last year. And we were able to successfully get those children on the right path. We went into 6 to 7 schools last year. And so we're doing big things this year. We're going into 18 schools, and we're just elated that you have us here today to talk about the REACH program.
But of course, everyone, we have with us today none other than the Fulton County DA, Fani Willis. Akeem Woodard is here too. He is Director of Juvenile Services for your office. So Akeem, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
So what do you see as your role in terms of being Director of Juvenile Services? What exactly do you do?
To be honest, let me give you this scenario.
Okay.
I see myself as the person who stands at the faucet that's been running in Atlanta. The faucet of our children fall into a system, fall into the streets, fall into gangs. I see myself as a person who's turning the knob of the faucet. That's my job, to keep our youth from falling into that pit that we see so many of our youth falling into today.
You know, one thing that I found really just awesome, I attended a recent event that your office put on, DA Willis, and Full Force Fulton. Each of your staffers were there, and these were folks who were professional, eloquent, who had the passion to get the job done. So, Akeem, when it comes to the passion to get the job done, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you have gone into this area.
One reason I was one of those kids. I was that kid that got lost into the system at a young age. People say what they want to say about my boss, my friend, Fani Willis, Madam DA, but she's a person who says, I'm going to give you a second chance. First Department of Juvenile Justice gave me that second chance. I'm the first person ever hired for the Department of Juvenile Justice with a felony. As a matter of fact, they changed the laws to hire me. Our kids have this idea you have to have credibility for them to listen to. I was that kid. I was in the streets. I was running back and forth. I was caught up in the system. And so when you speak that to those kids and they say, okay, how did you make it out? And how did you make it out? So I want to be that doormat, meaning I want to be that doormat that kids can wipe their feet on so that I can show them professional people who never went down this road, who didn't have to make those wrong decisions. Listen to them. Because their kids say, you listen to them? Yes, they're my mentors too. So I'm that doorway for our youth. And I wasn't there to say my one of my passions is my little brother. When I was caught up in the system and he was listening to me, I told him that everything was peaches and cream. Something that we having right now. A lot of our youth have fathers or uncles that are caught up in the system. Instead of them really telling them to turn around, it's become a rite of passage for our children, which is something we need to turn around. And I told my little brother, this it's okay. You can run the streets. We can get that fame. And then he done the same thing that I did, got in trouble. So every youth that I see my little brother. I see that you don't have to go that route. I've done that route for you, so you don't have to do this. You can turn those things around. So that's my passion for doing what I do.
Akeem, what do you tell parents, who might have that child, who you might have to be the doormat for? What advice would you give them and they're pulling their hairs out? They don't know what to do.
First, I tell them to calm down because there's a storm they're talking about. And sometimes parents become the storm. And they don't realize that things around them are changing. Utilize the resources that you have. District Attorney is right here. She's opened up different programs. And the most thing I tell mothers is don't become a slave to your child. Be the parent. Don't become a slave. Don't allow your child to be the driving force in your life. You become the driving force in their life. And sometimes it got to get down and dirty with it. We have to sacrifice some things. We have to be willing to go all in and all out, every resource that we can for our children. So the first thing I always tell parents is calm down. I made it. And if I can make it where I was at, then your child's life is not over with yet. There's still a degree of hope. And all we need to do is grab onto that hope and let it grow.
They changed the laws to get him in.
Absolutely. And I think what you hit on is the parents is so important. And so I was a single mother raising two girls, and I can tell you I've had a lot of hard jobs, but the hardest job in the world is being a parent. They have your heart. They're walking around with it. You watch them do things which you know are not necessarily the right path for them. And sometimes your kids can't receive that messaging from you, right? They need that auntie. They need that uncle. They need somebody that they can listen to steer their lives in the right way. What I am here to tell the parents that have kids in the Fulton County school system is that this year we're not going to take over 100 kids. We're going to take 300 children. And these 300 children can join this program. In the course of 1 year, we will be there every single week to have this class with your children, where we are going to, one, make them really look at themselves, make them look at their situation, really think about the way you can make choices, and expose them to so many things that they would not have an opportunity to be exposed to. And what I truly believe is when children can see it, then they know they can become it. And so in the course of a year, they're going to see all kinds of professionals, graphics professionals, people that are in the music industry, people that are in film. They will see lawyers. They will see investigators. They will see IT specialists. All of these people that have been exactly where they are and have made it and have some level of success and really care about them. Because I do think that that's the other ingredient. Our children need to know that we care about them, that we believe they are worth pouring into, and that we believe they can make it. The gratification at the end of the year when you watch those kids graduate and the pride that their parents have. It is something very special. You know, you can't even bottle that type of joy. And what I want parents to know is all they have to do is to contact their principal and ask, hey, is Reach coming into our middle and our high school? And if it is, how can I sign up? We do have children that have already signed up. We have children from last year that will serve as mentors because one of the things we're teaching children is to be leaders, not followers. And so they are going to lead the children last year. But Akeem, Director Woodard, he is absolutely right. Sometimes they can't hear it from me, right? I went to high school, I went to college, I went to law school. Maybe I didn't see all of the things that they saw or that they are seeing daily. And so they don't believe me to be credible. But when we have people like Akeem Woodard, who did spend some time in prison, who has gone down the wrong path, but who has completely changed his life around, who I tell people is the absolute best employee I probably have in my office, who is committed heart and soul into making sure that children do not make that mistake, they start to know what a difference their children can make and we can make. We cannot afford to lose this generation of children. This is our next generation of radio hosts. This is our next generation of lawyers, of doctors, of people that are literally going to save the world. And so it is so important that we invest resources in this program. Sometimes people will ask me, well, is this really prosecution? Is this an appropriate way to be spending your budget? But for every child I don't see in a courtroom and I can see in a classroom, I call that successful prosecution because we are keeping them from hurting somebody in our community. We're keeping them from hurting themselves, and we are saving the taxpayers all of that money by doing one thing, letting them know they have value.
Great. Director Woodard, for those who have gone through the program, that year, what are they saying to you? I'm sure they're coming back.
Oh, we had one young man who wanted to be a police officer in this day of time. And he graduated, and I went to Tri-City Schools, and he's already a resource officer. Wow. He comes up to me and give me this big bear hug. And I'm like, oh, who is this? And he's like, I made it. I've done well. We have gotten jobs for youth. We go to the company and say, the district attorney's office is behind this kid. This kid is not alone. He has a community. You can call me. If this kid's not coming to work, he's not doing well, you can call me. We want to make sure because they have hiccups. They're young. And the job is like, okay, we'll hire a person like that. So we've done prom, we've done pictures, we've helped segue parents over to the other department that Madam Diaz created for record restrictions, that they can get parents that are struggling. This program reach is not only for their children, it's for their whole family. So we interviewed a whole family from grandmother all the way down to daughter and her children in their house, and just to see the tears in their mother's eyes, saying about how their daughter was working at Dunkin' Donuts at such a young age and doing well. It's just joy to hear those kids and send a text and call. One of the main things that affect me the most was to hear a young man call me. Two things. During our school year, one young man they wanted him to join the gang. And this is in middle school. And they was about to jump on him to join the gang. And he said, I'll let you beat me up. I won't join. I won't join. So they jumped on him. And the school called, and he said, no, I want to talk to Mr. Mars, who's also one of our mentors, and Mr. Woodard. And he said, I didn't join. I don't want to go down that road. So here's a kid, a young man, and he can see him on the camera running. He said, I'd rather them beat me for me to join this gang and I end up in the system. And that's just and this is a young man. They will forever make him a leader amongst many people right now today. And to hear his father say to me, thank you, because I wasn't there. I didn't put that in my son, you all did. So this is the only program from a district attorney's office that is ran inside the school during school hours in the United States of America.
And we really want to thank Dr. Looney for doing this. I give him all of the credit. He called me at the beginning of last school year and he said, I have a problem and I think I need some help. And the problem was I'm seeing too many guns in our school and it's scaring me. I don't want anything to happen to our babies. And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm not an educator. I'm a prosecutor. How can we solve this problem? But we met and we brainstormed. And one of the ways that we decided we were going to solve this problem is he literally gave us a class period during the school day. And that's a really important fact because that doesn't put a burden on parents to have to try to get your children to and from school. It's already there during the school day. All of the resources that are needed for the program, they are provided for you during the school day. But at the end of the program, the children have so much exposure and their minds are just a totally different route. My employees, they've gotten too involved sometimes. He mentioned to you just briefly, one of the children or a group of them, they didn't have someone to take pictures for their prom. And so on my employees' own time, they went and volunteered and took pictures. But that is a way for our children to know that we believe in them and that we believe that they're going to be successful. And we want them to have those youthful experiences, right? People have fond memories of their prom, and it was important for those memories to be documented and for them to know we're not just here for that hour class during the day. We are here for the duration, betting on you and betting on your success.
Madam DA, you said they can go to the principals at the school to find it if the REACH program is there. How can they get more information on the program?
Well, if they just go to the district attorney's website, we have information there about the REACH program. If they call the district attorney's office and ask for Akeem Woodard or ask for his email address, they can email him directly. Any of those ways we can get you into the REACH program, and we're excited about having you in the REACH program. As I said, we graduated over 130 children last year. We're taking a big leap of faith and going into 18 schools this year with a goal of graduating over 300 children.
Takes a great team to do all of this. So, Akeem, you want to give us some information how they can get in touch with you?
You can reach me at Akeem Woodard. That's AAKEEM WOODARD at FultonCountyGA.gov.
Everyone, when Atlanta Up Close returns, we're going to talk to Madam DA Fani Willis about, I guess you can say, about the elephant in the room. We have a former president who is under scrutiny and some other things that our office is facing right now. We know just as much as you can tell us, okay?
Absolutely.
All righty, everybody. That and more when Atlanta Up Close returns after this. Everyone, welcome back to Atlanta Up Close. My guest today, Fulton County DA Fani Willis. Akeem Woodard, Director Woodard, you have just been so informative, so great talking about the REACH program and helping the children. Thank you so much for being here as well. DA Willis, I have to ask you, when you hear, if you don't know, threats being made against you, things of that nature, saying that you don't know what you're doing, challenging your credibility as the professional that you are and that you're showing everyone that you are, what does that do to you? How does that make you feel, as you would be asked?
I think we teach our children from very young ages. It's kind of not what they call you, it's what you answer to. And so all of the negativity that comes my way, I truly, in the words of JC, brush my shoulders off and we just keep pushing. That is not going to deter me from doing my job. I am very, very honored to sit in this seat. I've worked very, very hard to be here. As you know, I've been practicing law for over 27 years now. I have a degree from some of the best schools in the country, Howard University and Emory School of Law right here in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been a prosecutor for over 20 years. I have tried personally well in excess of 100 cases, most of them homicides, very, very many complex cases. I'm credited with trying the longest case in the state of Georgia history. I'll let my credentials speak for themselves. But most importantly, I've put together a dream team. I have 380 dedicated employees that serve alongside me, that work with me, that I'm honored that will serve under my leadership. And we just have one motto, and that's that we're going to bring excellence to this job every day. Everyone is entitled to dignity, and we're going to do our job with integrity. And so you can't really spend time paying attention to the naysayers. We have too much business to tend to.
We're not going to go through the charges and things of that nature, all the minuscule stuff that has brought a former president before to answer, to be held accountable for his actions. Bottom line, why did you bring the case against the former president?
Well, I brought this case the way I bring any case, and that's what I tell people. There's really nothing sexy about this. The reality, as a prosecutor, you have a job to do, and your job is to look at the facts. There's allegations of a crime, and then to look at the law. And if the facts bear out that the law has been broken, then we have a duty and a responsibility to bring charges. And so nothing different is done in any case to include that case. That's the process that we used. That's the process that I will continue to use as long as I serve as DA. No one is beneath the protection of the law, and no one is above the law. Everyone in this society has to do what is required of them and be held accountable, or else society does not work.
Everyone, we're talking to Fulton County DA Fani Willis. Of course, we know you as a professional who is highly qualified to do what you are doing. You, as you said, you have a great force of a great office of folks who work alongside you. The next step here, as we're talking, is for the former president, Mr. Trump, to turn himself in. He was granted a bond, $200,000, RICO, under RICO. Is that the norm?
Yes. So right now, the process that we're in with all 19 defendants is, if they would like, we're working out consent bonds. This is a process that I've used before in many cases. Atlanta Public Schools, we followed the exact same process. We've allowed all the defendants until noon on this Friday to turn themselves in. Certainly, we're able to work out consent bonds with them, and that will be the process. Should people fail to turn themselves in, then a warrant will be filed on the system, and they'll have to be arrested.
You're also dealing with the YSL case. Consent bonds in this respect? No?
You're talking about two different stages of trial. So that case, they are past the stage where we're arguing bonds. We're actually at jury selection now and arguing motions. So that came long ago, where either consent bonds were granted or we argued against bonds. And that's typical in every case. There's something called the Ayala case, and it gives you the factors to consider. One of them is your ties to the community, right? And so you as a prosecutor, you look and say, does this person has tied to the community? One thing you look at is criminal histories, because you have to decide, are they likely to commit another crime? Another is, are they going to intimidate or threaten witnesses? And so just as I said, when we're making decisions about cases and whether you prosecute or not prosecute, when we're making decisions about whether we consent to bond or not consent to bond, we look at those Ayala factors and we make decisions. And we do it for every person. It does not matter your race. It does not matter your wealth. It does not matter your religion or your sexuality. It is literally just plugging things in and trying to make decisions that we think are reasonable.
It's Fani Willis, everybody, the Fulton County DA. How did it start for you in the position? How would you say it's going?
Oh, how did it start with me? It started as a storm and chaos, honestly. But if I really tell the truth of how it started for me with prayer. That's where I have to go. A lot of people in this community came to me and asked me to please run for this position. And I really didn't want to run against my former boss, right? And I'll tell everybody on the record, he's a brilliant man. And he had given me some opportunity, but I thought he had lost his way. And the seat ultimately always belongs to the people. And so I had some intimidation about running against this man who had served for 24 years. So I've told people before, I went to the mountains and I prayed about it. And what God told me is I'm the right person at the right time to do this job. And as long as he and the voters of Fulton County think that I'm appropriate to sit here, I'm going to work really hard to make them proud and do a good job. I got to the office this morning at 5:30. I'll probably leave at 8 o'clock at night. They can guarantee that they will have that work ethic every day I sit in this seat.
You know, there are many prognosticators, spectators who will say what Fani's going to do. What do you see as your future after, let's say, this job?
Well, my goal when I came to this seat, and it remains my goal, is, and it's probably going to surprise people, but I wanted to serve 3 terms. So a dozen years. I felt like it would take the first term to kind of right the ship. It would take the second term to really make the way I thought the office should run, and a third term to make a legacy, to make sure that what we had put in would stand fast. And then after that, I want to go be a person that throws parties. I figure I've seen the worst of life. Now I want to go do something where everybody is happy. And so when I'm planning your party, everybody's having a good time. So that is my goal for my future. But you know, if you tell God your plans, sometimes he'll laugh at you. Whatever his will for me, that's what I'll be doing. But if you ask Miss Willis, what are her plans? My plans are I have 9.5 more years in this seat, and then I'll be able to throw you a really good party if you want one.
Some of those people think you're going to be throwing some pretty good parties in the governor's mansion. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, people have dreamed for me larger than I have dreamed for myself at this point. But I really do have one of the best jobs on the planet. It's very, very important that, one, people go to the polls and they vote. But it's very important that you have people in position that are, one, qualified to do the job. And I sit here and I tell you I'm qualified, but that they have a passion for service. And I have a passion for service. I'm really not doing anything new as the elected DA as I did before I was DA. You know, we do this huge book bag event every summer. Well, the truth is, with WAVE, which is a nonprofit organization, I have been doing book bag events for children for 10 years. You know, we had already been doing that. And so with this platform, I'm able to do more for more people, and I'm honored to sit here.
District Attorney Fani Willis, Fulton County, I want to thank you so much for your time. Akeem, thank you for being here. Director Woodard, Madam DA, it's always an honor and a pleasure to sit down with you.
Thank you so much for having us today, Miss Maria.
Everyone, thank you so much for listening to this edition of Atlanta Up Close. And of course, as you know, you can always listen on the Odyssey app. I'm Maria Boynton.